Welcome, everybody. So today I have a special guest, Jennie from Marketing Simplify, who I've interacted with on LinkedIn. We've been on each other's posts, and we found we're in the same area, and I was like, we should do a little podcast, a little conversation about marketing.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for coming on my little show that we're trying to, or this show that we're trying to maybe figure something out,
right?
Or have a collaboration on, or just have conversations about marketing. And maybe if you are listening on LinkedIn, be sure to as we talk about different things, leave comments in down below, and we'll get back to them when we can.
Yeah. Well, thank you for actually inviting me. I'm really, it sounds like I'm being fake, but I really am excited about doing this. Like I told you, this is the first podcast where I came in a studio. I've been on other ones where I just zoomed in. So we'll see how I do. It's super fun. And I love talking about marketing and strategy. And I know you do too. So
I do.
I'm excited to be here. So
thank you
for having me.
Absolutely. I wanted to start off with a little bit of what your journey. We can. I don't know if you want me to go first. You want to go first?
Sure, I'll start.
Yeah.
So I can't talk about my journey without seeming like I'm very old. But, my marketing journey started before the internet, when we were old schooling it. And that's cold calling and blanket flyering, and posting in the yellow page listings and ads. And so, I started my marketing journey in my early 20s. I was going to school to be a kindergarten teacher and had a baby and didn't want to leave my baby all day to go to work. And so I instead built my own preschool. And that led to my very first kind of touch base in marketing. I had to create a flyer and put them out on boards and do a yellow page listing and that kind of stuff, right? And then it very quickly evolved. I acquired my first company. It was a scrapbooking company when scrapbooking was really big. And it was actually from one of my preschool moms was moving to France, and she owned a company. And she owned the scrapbooking company. And I decided to buy it from her, knowing zero about business or marketing or anything. And just through that one experience, it just launched me into this world of business and entrepreneurship and marketing and strategy. And so that's...
How long did you do the scrapbooking?
I did it for 4 years, and then the scrapbooking market started going digital. I could see it coming. Mm-hmm. It's when the internet started coming on board, and finally you could get pictures, and the digital scrapbooking books started coming online, and some of my suppliers from like my paper and stickers and stuff for the kits I created started cutting back product. And so I just saw the writing on the wall and sold the company before. And when I say I sold it to another woman, wholly telling her why I was selling it. I said,
she's still for
it. I see this coming. Here's some ways I was going to strategically shift my direction to keep this product moving. And she liked my ideas and still bought the company. So I feel really fortunate I was able to have that experience and then also sell the company before, it just before it became obsolete in the digital age. So so that just launched me in a whole direction of marketing, and I've been doing it ever since.
Awesome.
Yeah.
A little bit more about me. So, I grew up in the start of the digital age. Mm-hmm. So I saw the growth of YouTube and saw that the shift from stakeholders controlling all the chips to the fact that like more and more ways were being made and created for people to create their own stuff directly by them. Right. And something I really want to point out from your story is that like you did marketing because you had something that you need to do. Right. Which I love. I think that sometimes you had a message that you wanted to create. You had a message that you which is to, hey, I'm going to watch your kids. Let me watch your kids with my kids. Right. I want to make them a great experience. I know that moms are out there that need this or opportunity to have a reliable, someone that they trust. That's not just like throw them in a room and wait till bedtime or whatever. Right. Yeah. So I think that is so many of us in the marketing space that we start learning skills for marketing because we had some other thing we want to do. Right. Exactly. I got a degree in digital marketing, but I have always loved video, and I thought I was going to be maybe wanting to go do film school, but I didn't go to film school. I just went to a college and the degree that they had for that was similar was digital media, and I just fell in love with the idea of everything digital. At one point, I was going to be like a web developer, but for me, I just the ability to tell people stories via video directly without having to go through some other stakeholder is one of those things that for me, I felt like this is the future. This is what's going to be. And although it's gotten way better and way more interesting on how that looks like now. And will continue to change. Right. What I find is that like from the base of like TikTok to a streaming giant like Netflix, right? They just want to get directly into people's personal, what they want. They want to give them what the people want. Yeah. Which I think is really what, marketing, you want to be able to help share the story or share the messaging of the company or of yourself, right? To everybody, which I think to me is why I continue doing what I do.
Right. And it's so fascinating when you think about even my generation to your generation. I've been there with this side and then evolved with it as it's evolved from this very broad spectrum, I didn't ever think about, when I first started, even in my scrapbooking company, I didn't think about like a customer avatar or algorithms or, it was just like, you went to a company and tried to get your product in their store, or you went to a person, there was an influencer, there wasn't any of that. So, it's funny because I've told people that I know, I'm like, in my 20 years of marketing and business development, I feel like I feel like I'm a psychiatrist in so many ways because we're diving into what gets them to act and what triggers an emotion and what gets them to act in certain ways and to go down our customer journeys. Like we're dialing into who these people are on such an individual level and on such a personal level as to where before it was like we were just blanket. But I mean, these kind of things were stuff big, like you were saying, big businesses.
You have you got, several $1 million to pump into to just creating, let's slap on the most popular person that we have on television right now, throw it on a product and we'll see, see if that gets sold.
These were things big companies had to think about, not like little home businesses or little scrapbooking businesses. My business, I think, was a fairly, it was a good business. It was I had my products in a bunch of company stores and things like that. And I had to put packages together. I had employees. Like it was a full scale business. But the marketing now compared to the marketing then, I'm like, right down to the individual mom blogger is figuring out who their customer is and what their algorithms are and what the data is showing them. Like these are things only big companies used to look at with entire teams. So it's really interesting to see that evolution of it.
Yeah. Okay. So before we get into like a little, because we're going to do a little crossing with you here in a second. Right. I love that what you brought up. Why do you think that is so powerful that although on the large scale that we have a better, more sophisticated way of looking at marketing. And for the record, I'm a believer that marketing is not sales.
Oh, me too. 100%.
Yeah. But that marketing has gotten better. We understand what we're trying to do and how that's brought down to like that, mom blogger or, dad entrepreneur, solo entrepreneur trying to do something for his family. Why do you feel like it's such a wonderful time to live in that we have this?
I would say there's two parts to that. One is on one hand, they say we're closer connected than we've ever been, but yet we're further away than we've ever been because of the digital age. But I think because of that, you have the swings, right? If you swing one way, it's going to swing the other. And I feel like the equanimity being found in the marketing swing is that we're relational by nature. We want to connect. And before it was like, the way they got us to connect was putting up commercial with the big fridge with the red bow and everybody cries, or the puppy or whatever. And it stirs something within us and it makes us want to be a part of something. And I love that now like I said, the mom blogger or the chef coming out of chef school can get on and share his story and his journey and relate to other people and share true value too. Like it is now that I love the flip in it that it is expected of companies to provide value now and not just expected of and I know we'll talk about this a little bit later down, like the brand flip and stuff like that. But I just think that right now is such a remarkable time to live, especially in the marketing arena, especially with AI coming on board and just the shifting landscapes. If we can stay focused on the true nature of marketing, which is strategy. And to me, from that strategy, how do you get what you have to the person who needs it in a way that brings value and makes them feel connected and makes us feel relatable. And I just think it's so cool that we are at that place in the marketing landscape that we can truly do that. And we've seen it. A mom blogger becomes a multi-millionaire because she found an audience that related to the way she does something,
right?
And so I feel like it's really helped level the playing field, and where on an individual level you can have a dream or a story and you can share it and you can find an audience that connects with anything from communities like Facebook communities to your own email list. You can actually really bring in those personal connections, and in a way that I feel like we've never been able to do in marketing. So that's really exciting.
It is. I know Kevin Kelly, he's a Wired editor that coined it, or did an essay of the 1,000 True Fans, right? Mm-hmm. Which is just that's the start of something. Yeah. And I think that, it's so applicable in so learning the skills of marketing, for whether that be for your blog or even just for something else, is huge. And I think I'd love to talk with you in another day just about how much of a struggle it is for creatives, as creatives in this space. When you go to other companies, they don't value you in your salary or whatever. But I think that's a discussion for another day.
Okay, yeah, and I would love to have that discussion.
Me too.
Yeah,
because I would love your perspective on it. Just because anyways. So let's do a little cross interview.
Yeah.
So do you have questions for me? Let's start with you. We'll go back and forth a little bit.
Okay. One question I do have, and I don't even need to look for it, is that I'm really curious about your take, because now we know with content marketing, video is just where is content marketing is, and where it's staying and where it's continuing to grow and how it's evolving. And in your journey of that, since you graduated, gone into this, how is that shifting with everyone now has an iPhone, everyone now is creating content. There's so many free tools. And so how do you differentiate yourself or stand out as a digital media creator, and stay relevant and on top of trends and everything, and relevant to the market? And really, how is your I know this is a mouthful, so don't feel like you have to answer.
No, I get it. I feel you.
But so that would be the first part. And then the second part of that is, how has that changed your strategy or your direction and how you're moving your business forward?
I love that you start with this question. So when I was in college, they were always talking about video is king. Mm-hmm. Even back then, almost, more than 15 years ago now, that idea that video is king was somewhat true.
Right.
All right. I fully believe that 2 years, so maybe mid 2020 was when I felt video is king, solidified. It made that transition into, this is what video is now, the main medium that most consumers are absorbing content. And you can see this because Amazon, Spotify, anyone and their dog is going to have some sort of video feed that they're trying to provide you with reviews or with people's content talking about things on the platform, right?
And do you think I read that COVID played, I think we know that COVID played just a mass role in that, kind of solidifying video as king, because so many people had to go to their audience directly through video because so many things got canceled.
So I think that what COVID did for that was, it for sure accelerated it. I think it just made it, there's a couple of things at play. I think that TikTok had been prepared enough for the opportunity of COVID that relaunched what YouTube brought 8 years ago prior to that.
Yeah.
YouTube, when I look at YouTube, TikTok in those early stages and as it started blowing up with the everyday user, I just think about YouTube. The only difference is that YouTube still had a barrier of someone to be able to use a computer or be able to have access to a video or edit a video and upload it. Right. And so and so for me, I saw so much of the similarities of like what people were doing. They're just being real. They're just being natural themselves there. Whereas at the time YouTube started becoming way more produced. You have the Mr. Beasts of the world, like the Dude Perfects, the Emma Chamberlain. Even though Emma Chamberlain still does very organic, natural vlog style, you had other creators still starting to up their production game almost to the level, if not bigger, just more internet style as movie companies.
Right.
I still think there's a shift that's happening that will always happen. That there's a cycle of like, people want higher value, but then they love the organic nature of this.
Right.
And so I think, at the end of the day, when it comes to content marketing, what I think comes down is that it really does come down to something that you said earlier, which is at the end of the day, we as marketers we're there to help ask the questions of who is it that you really want to connect with? Are you an individual that is trying to start a company, or maybe you're wanting to be a coach or launch a product of some kind? Is that audience going to be found in the more personal, organic nature? Maybe not organic, but personal nature.
Yeah.
Or is it going to be found in, I want to have higher value. In production, or in aesthetics and or class. You look at Apple and we're always, this is the best iPhone we've ever made.
Right. So basically, the way you're summarizing is it always has on some level, and still does, regardless of the constant changing, comes down to what it is the customer wants and how do we get it to them in a way that they're going to digest it. Right. Like, it really isn't so much it's all this or all that. It really does come down to the customer journey and what you're creating for that customer. And if that creation is short form, quick TikTok videos, or if it's long form podcast or videos or YouTube shorts, it comes down to the customer you're creating it for.
Yeah. I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Because I want to know your perspectives. People are always saying like people's attention spans are getting shorter and shorter. Do you believe that that's the case?
No, I don't believe that's the case. I do believe that what has gotten shorter and shorter is getting really concise about your message to gain their attention span. So I do feel like, I don't know if it's 100% not getting shorter, because I do believe that ADHD is on a scale like we've never seen. And I do believe that we're being programmed with just constant notification. Like, it's just more, we're being sidetracked so much. Like, we're just being interrupted, so much that we just can't pay attention. But if the content is good, and I am one that is not very patient when it comes to paying attention.
Okay.
And I'm not a TikToker.
No, that's fine.
I'm not a Reels person. Like, when I say that, I mean, you would think that because I don't like to spend a lot of time on something, I see TikTok as long form content where I'm just scrolling through but not really getting. And anyway, my point to it is, I do think it comes down to the person, and I still love long form content, but short form content is what gets me there. Does that make sense? Yeah. So if the short form content is good, I will dive in eyeballs deep to the long form story,
whatever's there.
And so I do believe that maybe our attention span is getting less, but I do believe it still comes down to the content you're creating and who you're putting it in front of, and that hook to get them in. And so there's the getting of attention, and then there's the maintaining attention, and so you have to kind of be good at both, and you can have both.
Perspective.
Yeah.
I think I don't believe that our attention spans have gotten shorter, and that we're not, like, the idea that everyone's gotten dumber and that they can't focus on something. I don't believe that. Right. I believe that everyone's gotten better at realizing what's good in their terms.
Right. I agree with that.
Or not.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And that, like, at the end of the day, you could be someone maybe you don't even have a good hook. Maybe you just, for whatever reason, said the right thing, right?
Right.
For that thing, and it triggered something for other people. I think the perfect example is call me crazy, but I've never liked store-bought pesto. That trend is the trend that gives and gives, because it's not about, it's the thing that triggers something for someone else that has the crazy story.
Right.
So anyways, I
think that's such a great perspective. And I'm so glad you brought that up, because also I think that it's not so much that we've lost our attention span as much as we have so much coming at us all the time. We've gotten better and better, just like you said, of deciphering what we want. You know what I mean? It's like, I can tell in 3 seconds I'm not interested.
Yes.
You have to get that streamlined on what you're going to give your attention to, because so many people want it.
Which is why videos become king.
Yep.
Because because a photo will tell a story in 1,000 words. Mm-hmm. But video tells a story in, a story in 5 minutes that is a lifetime.
Yeah, that can generate all of the feels and actions and everything that a full, I agree with you.
And so, and I think, I just think that that's where a portion of this comes into play, which is why I think marketing's gotten you have to be better.
Yeah.
And okay, let me phrase that. Let me phrase that with a question.
Okay.
In your experience, what is the biggest shift for you what is the biggest mind shift that people need to have in today's marketing era that wasn't there?
I would say for me personally, 100% it's the brand flip, that we don't own our brands anymore. Like, we don't tell the audience who we are. They tell us who we are. So it starts out with us telling, we do go through our branding. We do create our brand voice and our brand story, but then we put it out there, and our customer base or our audience will tell us, I don't like that. I don't see you as that. They can tear you down or build you up like nobody's business. And so I would say the biggest mind shift since I started old school to today is just customer centric, putting yourself literally in the seat of the audience or the customer or whoever, and really understanding what it is they're really wanting and giving it to them,
Okay. So I have a follow-up. Mm-hmm. At what point do you feel that the individual, or either whether that be a personal brand, whether that be someone who's trying to grow a brand, does the same thing, right, I guess, but or grow a company, or even has a company, do they need to have that focus on that flip?
Well, yeah, I think any business has to have that focus on that flip. And I believe that if you are the face of any business, you definitely need to have a personal brand. You need to have a brand story, and you need to know who your audience is and who you're talking to. And you need to talk to them in a way that's relatable. And that happens naturally because we start talking to who we believe our audience is. And if it's not relating, that's our, what we do with marketing. We look at our content, what is engaging, what they're not engaging with. It's amazing. Like, just the smallest twist in a word can make all the difference, But I believe that branding is, especially today with AI coming out and everything, to really take the time and understand who you are as a company, what is your brand voice, what is your story, and who is it for, is crucial. Because, like I said, everybody with a phone is a marketer today. Yeah. You know what I mean? So how do you stand out? And it's crucial for consistency and to build vitality and trust and an audience that every time they come to you, it's the same. It's just like why we love In-N-Out. Right? It's not like it's the best food ever or Chick-fil-A, but it's consistently what it is. It's consistently good. It's consistently quick. It's consistently affordable, and it's the same in marketing. We want something we can trust, that's consistent, that we can stand by. And we know if I'm going to go there and watch this video, consistently it's good, or I consistently get value, or I consistently feel drawn in. And so therefore I follow this person. And then now I'm engaging with them. And now I'm buying the products they buy, and now I love what they do. And now I'm doing the parenting tips they give me, so if you're the face of a company, or if you're the face of a brand, you need a personal brand, but a company still needs, and it's astonishing how many companies do not go through the process of a brand.
I 100% agree with that. Or even take the time to ask the questions like, what font do I want? Right. Why?
Right. And me, as a marketing strategist and director and someone who's been in the business for over 20 years, for Marketing Simplify, we literally this year, after 7 years in business, have gone through the process of creating our brand, and because so many businesses they paint themselves in the corner. Like, what do you run, your business or your customer's business? Especially in marketing, all of our time was spent on
someone else's
on someone else's growth and someone else's brand. And I remember my daughter asked me, she goes, "Who are you marketing to?" And I just stared at her. And I mean, I was so embarrassed because I'm like, I don't know. Like, I'm when I say that, I mean, I know who my customers are, but like creating content and putting it out there, because we never had, all of our business had come through referrals. Suddenly I'm trying to create content for us. And I'm like, who is this for? Like, I don't talk to people this way. And I'm in there doing these cute trends, like jumping in new outfits. And when it's done, I'm like, and that was for who? Like, is that for the 17-year-olds on TikTok? Like,
I love that you bring this up. I think that sometimes when I scroll Instagram, I get, specifically Instagram, I get infuriated because so many people who suggest that they're gurus or professionals say, okay, these are top trends you should follow, or these are like whatever. That's not actually like, it's just, you're just replicating something that is going to, that is hitting the algorithm. So are you actually providing yourself, you might grow in the sense of like follower count, but you're not reaching individuals in your specific connection of who those individual, the 1,000 true fans.
Right.
And I always have a hard time with the idea that like these things are the idea of the quick action will provide great value for you.
Yeah. I think too that as well as shifting in marketing strategies, like people would rather have less content that's higher quality value, that has more of an impact, as to where, because of the algorithms and the shifts in the market. And I mean, all of it, it's like, oh, we just have to stay on top of trends and be consistent and post all the time and have trending music and have trending tags and I'm like, yeah, but when I go into a boardroom with the CEO or the head of marketing and sales to talk to them about their marketing strategy, none of these trends affect what I'm doing. I don't talk to them the way I'm talking to this TikTok audience or this Reels audience. And I'm telling you, this is happening in our company in real life right now.
Yeah.
Real time. We're going through this for the first time ever. Like, I've gone through this process a millennia times with clients, but now for the first time, we're going through it with our own. And it is a pain in the ass. I'm not kidding you. It is work.
It is hard.
It is work. But I am telling you that it is so necessary. And, people will see, we're just getting started on our social media and everything, and they can go look and say, oh, wow, they're not doing what they say. And I'm like, well, we have been for 7 years behind the scenes. For us, in front of you, this is a whole new ball game for us. Like, we are figuring out who we are and who our stuff is for. And we've never done packages because we're boutique. And people are like, how do you do pricing? And I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so much I still have to learn and navigate. And so it's just crazy that with the changing in marketing, and I know we keep talking about, but the anchoring in it is that never changes. It's still always about who your audience is, who you're talking to, and create content that talks to those people.
What I find really valuable, that I really resonate with, is the fact that at the end of the day, whether you're starting out or you were that you know what needs to happen, so you can ask like, we as marketers, I love, like you've done it for for a decade plus, to be able to help companies do these things. Yet we get caught up in the work of the things that we take of it. So it takes us, we don't take time for ourselves to say, what is it that I want from my customers?
Right.
And to be able to do that.
Right.
Right. Or even for myself.
Right.
And I think this is something that I think Seth Godin does really a great job of. And he's got amazing books, but there's a book called The Practice that he has, that he talks about, that those who that do the things that they do, it's not because it's what they love. It's because they do, they love the doing, is what really makes it.
True.
And when they get confronted with the perspective of like, what is it that needs to really happen? They don't just hinder. They really dig deep and go through.
Because they care, and they're doing it because they love it.
And this is not 100% fast roll, but I think if you're an individual that you're trying to get through this brand stuff, especially if you're doing this by yourself, if you're a self-starter, great. If not, ask a company to come in, like Marketing Simplify, to come in to really try to ask those hard questions and push you.
Right.
But if you're an individual who wants to do this by yourself, which is a lot of us, and you want to do it for someone else, you look internally to understand. I'm still working through some of my stuff in the sense of like on the outboard. What I do know is that for myself, I'm chipping away at those core things that I personally love. Right. And I think it's a journey that can only be done the moment you start asking yourself. And we as marketers, we can help others and do it. We do it all the time. But it is really, truly, and I think what I'm coming to this is that I think more and more individuals are realizing this, that everybody is a voice and that they can do this as long as they can figure out how is it that I can talk to the other person around on the other side of that screen.
Right. And I think, too, starting from a place of loving something, and I'm sure you've experienced this when you're working with someone that you can tell they absolutely do not love what they do.
Yeah.
They're there for the dollar. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I'm not passing judgment or anything, and you're trying to pull something out of them.
When they've hit the ceiling.
Yeah. And they're just like, no, we're just here to sell products. And I'm like, okay, as your marketing strategist, my job is not to sell products. That's not my job. I'm not in sales. My job is to build a strategy to get you customers. And there's a huge difference. So regardless of what you think about your products and your bottom line, and that is extremely important, I am not downplaying that. If we can figure out how to get you a customer, the products will sell. And how we get you a customer is through understanding who your product is for, what value do you provide, or what problem you solve. And these are just basic marketing tips everybody knows, and then creating content and put it in front of them that they can relate to, that's easy to digest. Creates some sort of emotional something, why is it they're watching it? What do you want them to do? And if there's one mind shift I could get into CEOs or, heads of marketing and sales, is I would say 100% of the time when I talk to these people, they believe that my job as a marketing strategist is to get them to sell more products.
Yeah.
And it is, but it's a result of my job. The selling of products is a result, not my job.
Seth Godin again.
Okay. Yeah. And what book is that?
This is marketing.
Sweet.
You can't be seen until you learn to see.
Oh, I like that title.
Yeah,
I have to get it.
He's really, like I said, I'm a huge fan of Seth Godin. He's great. It says, it's easier to make products and services for the customers you seek to serve than it is to find customers for your product and service.
Exactly.
Right? Like, I love that line because which is exactly what you said, right? At the end of the day, I don't care, you could come up with a product and you can go and try to, you can look, and here's the truth. Because there's data out there, people can start whipping up an ad. You can go and do that to get your product start making sold, and you can win. Right. You can win. But what the truth is why is Apple who they are? Is because they know exactly who their customer is. Right.
And I would even take it one step further. Have you heard the Simon Sinek talk, The Infinite Game? Have you ever watched that?
So I have not watched all of it.
Oh, it's so good.
I know it's a tragedy.
You can no, it's fine. But and you should definitely finish watching it. It's just so good. But you can tell the companies in The Infinite Game, Simon Sinek talks about people who know that the game that they're in. So some people are in the short game. They're in for the short wins. Nothing wrong with that. It's just a strategy, though. If that's the game we're in, then we create a marketing strategy around that game. Yes. We're in for the short win. We have an exit strategy. We know how many products we want to sell. We're trying to achieve this goal, whatever that is. But companies that are growing and like an Apple, we make great computers, do you want to buy one? Like Simon Sinek's The Golden Circle, when he uses Apple as an example. And if you haven't watched that, you definitely should too. Companies like Apple and stuff, they know that they knew that at first they were a Mac, but they weren't just a computer company. That wasn't ever, I think, their full vision. It started there, but they were visionaries and they knew they were in for the infinite game, and they knew that they were creating products to sell to people. They knew their audience, like you said, and people who have Apple computers, or buy any product, people who have brand loyalty. Where people are loyal to their brands. It's because we believe that the brand says something about who we are.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
And so people like Apple, they know that their customers are loyal to their brands for what it says about them. I mean, it started with designers for the most part and has branched out from there. iTunes, like, and it has continued to evolve. And you can tell they're a company that knows that they're in the infinite game. Yeah. They're in the game to stay in the game.
Yeah.
You know, not for the short wins, not for, I mean, there's ebbs and flows and every company takes hits. But when you know you're in it for the long game, then you're willing to evolve. You're willing to look at you're willing to even like look ahead, you know, but pivot in the moment. And so, and in marketing strategy, like I said, there's no right or wrong. It's just knowing. I mean, I always tell my clients, I'm not judging. I just want to know what the end goal here is and what game we're in so we can create a strategy to win.
But so many people struggle to even answer that question.
Right. It's true.
Because they're like, no, I'm in it for the long game. Are you?
Right.
Because the long game for them might just be a 3-year plan for an exit,
right.
Which is okay.
And that is a long game for them. And the idea behind that is, okay, well, if that's the long game for you, then we need to be in the game for a minimum of 3 years. That means moving product, ROI, you know, creating content, profit, whatever it is to get there.
Yeah.
To be able to exit the way you want to exit in that 3 years, you know? And I think when someone's in it for the short game, they're about, I have this product. It's for this many people. The cap is here. I know the cap's here. I want to get in. I want to sell. I want to cap. I want to be at the top. And I know it's going to die out. I just want to ride the wave, right? Like they're just in it for that game in particular. And like I said, doesn't matter. Just have a strategy for the game you're in to be successful at the end of the game, you know? And I think that's the biggest... That's one of the mind shifts I've had too, is just understanding that, you know, people a lot of times, and I'll ask you this before I answer my own answer when I was asked it, like, what do you think marketing is? What is marketing to you?
I think marketing is helping others see a new way of thinking.
Mm-hmm. That's a really good answer. I like that. I would say in my 20 years my answer has changed a lot.
Yeah.
But I would say now when anyone ever asks me what marketing is, I say it's one thing, it's strategy. Marketing is strategy. The rest of it, the content, the platforms, the AI, all of those are tools. And I always tell, I like to talk in metaphors, but I use, because I was in the building industry for 6 years, and I was in marketing in it. And then I learned everything from digging a hole all the way to permit. So then I built my own 2 houses and sold them because I already knew how to sell them.
Yeah.
Then I just need to learn how to build them. So this is what I tell my clients when we talk about marketing being a strategy. And they have a lot of money and they're willing to throw all this money at it. We have a $100,000 ad budget. We're going to give you your retainer, do all this stuff. And then I go, okay, let's start here. And they're like, no, like we need to be there. I'm like, okay, here's the house building strategy. You could have all the best contractors, all the best equipment, all the lumber's dropped. You could have the land and everything. And everybody's going to stand there and say, where's the plan?
Yeah.
And if we don't have the plan, we may be able to, with all that equipment and people and tools, build some sort of a house. But is it going to be the house that you ultimately want? And so that's how I approach marketing strategy with clients. What is it that we're trying to build? Perfect. Now let's build a map or strategy, blueprints to get there. And even in building homes, there's always bumps in the road. There's always schedules that get bumped, and things that happen, and the house still gets built. Yeah. You have to learn, it's like, you're committed to this house. We've already dug the hole. We've already had the 4-way. We've already done all these things. We've committed to building the house. And so many times people will hit the bumps in the road in their marketing strategy and they just abandon ship. And then they're mad that they didn't get the results. And I'm like,
I love this.
Abandon ship.
I love this analogy because I'm always a believer. It's in this is marketing and in content period. Mm-hmm. There are 3 lives. There's the strategy life. You create this is what we're going to do. Then you go out and execute. Mm-hmm. And there's always going to be road bumps. So the creation portion of doing that. For me, it might be like, okay, we might go to a location, or the day we were going to shoot, it's decided to rain. Mm-hmm. So we got to pivot or do something else, right? So there's always the creation portion of that, mm-hmm. Articles or the ad copy or whatever it might be. Then there's the last portion, which is like actually getting out there.
Right.
And each one of those phases has hiccups, but you really can't do that. Like the strategy, there's not a lot of hiccups in the strategy. The biggest hiccup is for the individual you're asked that has to make the final calls and some of this stuff.
Right.
And a lot of those, if you have done some of the other work, it can be pretty simple.
Right.
But it's when people get through the phase. Like, and I tell people all the time, like, look, the way people, when individuals who go out there and they're like, they have an idea and they do a good job executing, part of it could be that like it's the personality, it's the timing of the situation. There's so many different things that can come into play. And it's not to say that like, oh, strategy doesn't matter. No, it's 100% matters. But at the same time, like we as marketers, we can only do the blueprint and the work. And then we react to what's happening once we've sent it out to tweak and modify the plan in order to progress forward.
Well, and not only, I mean, that is super great feedback, by the way. It's true. There is only so much we can do, and then turn it on and look at data and look at engagement and pivot and continue to move forward. And in that same vein with the analogy of the house, like when you go to build a house and you get the plans together, the next question is, okay, well, how much is this going to cost? And so even when people go, how much do you charge? I'm like, well, we haven't even we don't even know what house you want to build yet.
Yeah.
We don't know what features you want. We don't know what upgrades you want, so it just is a way of viewing it, saying we're going to, like even when I'm talking to a client about what they do want to build and I know their budget and I'm like, okay, so we'll use the house analogy. You want this upgraded cabinets because they look really nice, but we could do these other cabinets at about half the cost, still achieve the goal, still get the house, and we can still build the house, So it really is factoring in all of those pieces in the sense of what is it we're trying to build. From there, what is it going to cost us both time and money? And then from there, who's going to do the pieces? Do we have all the subcontractors here to build it out? Who's going to manage it?
Right.
And then from there, okay, now we're going to finalize. This is the plan. Are we good to go? Perfect. Now let's put it out there. And then once we start going and once you're on site, if there's problems, you adjust, you face them, you make, you know what I mean? There is no perfect plan. I mean, there's strategies I put together that I thought were solid, and when they didn't go the way we wanted, I was just like, how did it not go this way?
And you looked at the data and you realized they were someone missed a step and they had the wrong data.
Right. And I mean, whatever the reason, it's just understanding that marketing is a living, breathing thing in your company. And it's astonishing how many companies don't have a marketing budget. They don't even think about marketing until they have the product done. And when you say, who's this product for? Oh, well, everybody wants this.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard that? Everybody needs this. Everybody wants
Everyone should have this, yeah.
And I'm like, well, I don't want it. Like, who is it really for, And so...
When it's everybody, it's nobody.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. And do you do this? I know I'm kind of going off topic,
No.
so you can edit this out. But do you do this now? How long have you been doing this now?
So I've been doing this for a little over a decade now.
Yeah. So you've been in it.
Yeah, I've been in it. And I've been on very different ends of this.
Yeah, which is so great because I feel like when you're on different ends of it, you get such a broader perspective and you start connecting dots in a completely different way. As for when you're just in one lane, and I do believe that people should get in a lane that they're strong in and they're driving that bus and they're good at that.
Yeah.
But also you can be in a lot of it to understand the lane you're good at, So, but do you do this now that you've been in it over a decade? Do you see content and marketing strategy everywhere you go? Like all everywhere to the point it's just exhausting?
I don't know if it's exhausting. I haven't got there yet, maybe.
But maybe because I'm so much older than you. I literally sometimes wish my brain would be like...
I mean, I think for me, I definitely am in... I think because of where, like the age I'm in the era that I grew up in, that I'm beginning to see the portion of like, at what level are we going to, as a society, agree on that it's not... I guess what I'm saying is like, I'm always astounded at the amount of the growth that has happened over the last like 7 years that has provided people who are living, they could be living in like rural America making more than a doctor's salary,
right? Because
they figured out what it is that they want to do,
right?
And I don't think like what I think
that is so huge.
What I think about this is that like I worked in news in 2 years, right? For 2 years, and I'm always like, I always get a pet peeve when people are like, kids in America, all they want to be are YouTubers. And it's not that they want to be YouTubers.
Right.
They see that this is something that these people are doing. And as they get older, maybe, they're going to figure other things out and they're going to grow and whatever. But what I think about this is at the core level, kids understand that this is something that someone is being able to do.
Right. This is tangible. I can go create this video with people.
If I'm cool enough or whatever, then someone else will follow me.
Yep.
And so that is something that like, even at my, on my level, like our generation and up, that no one thought that they could provide value. I mean, you look at who's Tony Robbins. Mm-hmm. Tony Robbins is a man who understood this at a core level and has become who he is today.
Right.
Because this universal idea that if you know how to connect with somebody, how to help them understand, have a mind shift change, mm-hmm. or create a strategy to connect with the client,
right, you
will change. Apple had the idea that everyone will own a computer in their home. People thought they were crazy, right?
Right.
These are
now they're in our hands.
These are the questions. Right. Like these are the things that individuals they have questions. Somebody somewhere at some time asked the question that got down to someone's core.
Right.
And that's what's shifted today. Mm-hmm. And so for me, like I think this is a great. Let's just wrap up with one little thing. Mm-hmm. I think it's been a wonderful conversation. I don't even want to talk about trends. What I want to know is, what's the one thing that we as in business owners, as mm-hmm. individuals, what's the one piece of advice that you love that they should know, that you talk to often, that you think they should know?
That's such a good question.
I want to
give a really good answer. One thing that I would like business owners to know that I've talked to, well, two things. If I went back to who I was as a business owner, starting 20 years ago, there were things that I wish I'd known, which was tapping in and really getting to understand your audience is actually like building that relationship with your audience, building that customer avatar and making it personal transcends. As a business owner, if you take the time to know who your customer is and know your audience and create content that is relevant to them, it transcends. And you're building relationships in a way that we have never been able to. So rather than looking at it as a chore or a job or, something to get a dollar, understand that if you look at it I can now, from my business and through the tools that are available to me or the marketing team that I have, create a relationship with my audience or my customer base in a way that has never been available in history and really make an impact with my business. And no matter how big or small, like if you're, direct to consumer and you have a product and that product brings more jobs and affiliates and everything, like it doesn't matter what it is. How can you make an impact and how can you transcend that relationship to your audience and make it just enjoyable? Like really, truly, if you approach it from that perspective rather than, and let us take care of all the strategy and, the work, but really tap in and say, I created this for these people and this is why it matters to me. And this is what I really want to give. And this is why I want to give it, and guide your team and your marketing and everything through those lenses. It makes a big deal. It makes a huge impact. And I'm telling you, doing this with a client that I've had for 7 years, I mean, we grew year over year over year. And this was a manufacturing company. And just that mindset shift of, I understand you're creating products, but let's talk about who you're creating them for. Let's dive into that. And our company fell in love with this audience over 7 years. And it make it personal, even though people don't want to. I don't want to make it personal. I'm like, business is personal.
It is
personal. Yeah. Especially today. And so I just wish that I would have kind of had more of that mindset when I first started, because I think I would have enjoyed a lot more of the journey rather than I was so focused on the dollar and the business and the data, the business side of it. I was so focused on the business side of it that I wasn't as focused on the customer side of it. I didn't fall in love with my customers, early on. I just, I loved what I was doing to a point, but now I'm passionate about what I do. I love the clients I work with. I love their teams and I love their customers. Like we build relationships with customers, Yeah. And so I would just say, if you can view your company and what you put out there through those lenses, I get an opportunity to do something where I'm connecting with my customer in a way I've never been able to. And this is really exciting. And I feel honored and privileged that I get to do that and then build from there. I would say do it, because it is what makes you stand out.
I love that you use the word transcendent, because if you can understand your customer, you understand what your customer wants, which
Right.
means you make a better product, which
Right.
means you can have better messaging, which
Right.
is why, right?
Right.
And so I love that. I think for me, on my end, I think the one thing I like to remind people is that like done is the catalyst of more, and perfectionism is the barrier of growth.
Right. Right. And I agree with that, by the way, 100%. But I do feel like the adage of, and I don't think we should reach for perfectionism. I think perfection is an ideal that we're always working toward.
Yeah.
You know, that we never reach, hopefully, because it's what drives us forward and completely makes us continue to reevaluate what it is we're doing, and makes us more open and flexible and all those things. So I definitely am not one for perfection, but I will say I am a perfectionist. And on that note, I think there is a line though where people are like, oh, there is a line of saying it doesn't have to be perfect. Let's just get content out, or let's get it as perfected as we can because it's important to do a good job and put it out there. And so just like looking at those two things, but I do feel like as a perfectionist, exactly what you said is true. It is absolutely, I have held our team back. You know, I've gotten a lot better at it, and I've really worked at it on where I would just do revision after revision after revision, trying to get like the perfect content and image and everything. And my team's like, we just have to get this done at this point. You know?
But here's the thing. Look, because I think there so many of us, so many business owners, so many marketers. They want something to be perfect. And I think a lot of times, I think in tech, sometimes in tech, they have the idea of the minimal viable product, right? The least thing that you could put out into the market that you could do it, which I think is a great lesson that you can learn as a marketer. What is the least viable content piece that we could pump out? But there's a level that minimum viable content piece or marketing portion or strategy, whatever it might be for, the aspect, it can be raised as you progress through learning of, again, you have your blueprint. We created an additional blueprint. We go through, maybe the lumber changes has to go. Maybe someone that, you know what, we need a bigger kitchen. Okay.
Right.
They have to go back and we have to reiterate and make go from there. Right. But that's the journey. And
I think with the minimal viable product, because we work in minimal viable product all the time, what is it to just get going? And I think that the one key thing to that too, and continuing in the journey, is understanding what is the goal of the minimal viable product. You know what I mean? What is the goal of this? This goal is to test it in this market and to get this kind, see if we get this. There's a goal with that minimal viable project. Is it really minimal? Because so many customers have said, let's just get an MVP up and get going. And then they'll never go back and do the next level that was actually
supposed to be the next
that was actually supposed to be built for that. So, but I 100% agree. And minimal viable product, get it out there, see what's happening, take that data back, set goals, get it back, and go to second level and minimal viable product. And I would also say to that, it also depends on the industry you're in. Like for us in marketing, I didn't want to put anything out there till we had all of our branding down, all of our colors, all of our messaging. And it was because we are a marketing company. So I'm like, I don't want to put stuff out there and then people look at it and go, they don't even know what they're doing. Their marketing looks like crap, And so it's like finding that balance. But I didn't want to hold up our team, and so they're like, what is the MVP on this? And I'm like, okay, we finally did have to break that down. And we did have to create those goals. And it is important to understand that, like you just said, that is an actual journey in your marketing journey. That is part of the journey of your marketing. So I think I just circled that in a big fat circle.
That's all right. Jennie, thank you so very much for coming on today. Hopefully we'll do something again here soon. Before we go, I think I always love to leave a question open to, so if anyone's listening at the end of this video, thank you. We hope you enjoyed the conversation as much as we had a fun talking about all the things we talked about. What's a question to start a further discussion in the comments below?
I would say that if you are a business person and you have either you're the face of the business or you have your own business, have you started creating your personal brand? And if it's helped, does it help you with your content creation? I think that was kind of a touch point during this conversation. I would also ask what people think marketing is. Like you and I both wondered, like, what do you think marketing is? What I think marketing is. But I'm, just because I think that doesn't mean That's what it is. That's just the journey I've been on. Like for me as a marketing strategist, that's what marketing is for me. So I always love asking the question because I loved your answer, and I would love to hear what other people think for their journey, what marketing is to them, and how they're navigating that, and then what questions they have for us that we can answer.
All right. Well, I'll make sure to put them in the comments below, and we'd love to know what your responses are.
Yep. Okay.
Bye.
Thanks.